are. Good. All right, everybody. I will see you in an hour-ish. Excuse me. Well, let us start today with a quote from Shakespeare, The Tempest. A strange repose, eyes wide open, yet asleep. Standing, speaking, moving, yet so fast asleep. Act 2, Scene 1. Now, I am sure at times, in many people's lives, that they have a brief period when they do not know who they are. You may have experienced this during trauma or an accident. If you are very much aware, you can see this when you first wake up. Just for a brief second at the very most, the mind hasn't recognized whether you are male or female, young or old. But you'd have to be very aware to recognize this part. And I'm sure you've woken and thought, where am I? And your mind begins to register exactly which room you are in and what has occurred. The universe is rather like a classroom. It has been created for your awakening, for you to realize your true self, your spiritual nature, who you are. The teacher you could call life itself. This provides the lessons that you need to understand. And when you pass that lesson, you have happiness and contentment. And when you turn your back on the lesson, you have pain and suffering and have to sit the lesson once more. This is a classroom for you to realize, understand, and to work for your own awakening. And this is what is meant by eyes wide open, yet fast asleep. You do not see the reality of spirit. As I have mentioned before, like the tramps sleeping on a chest full of treasure. You do not see the reality of what is available to you. All the love you could ever want. You arrive due to an act of love, and you depart with love in your heart. How much love you have in the middle is up to you. You come here to realize this love. And yet you fail to look for it. A few, of course, do go searching. Many go in the wrong direction. They look for love in houses and cars and money. Some look for love in others. But the other is also your lesson. When they come to you to show you the possibility of love within your heart, those of you who are very empathic know that love can sometimes feel painful. Painful because at times it brings up other issues. Or painful that it is just too big, too strong, too overpowering to even manage or control. Yet you need to go there. When your heart is closed, held back, restricted, or not available. Then you deny your true self and you turn your back on the lessons which are given to you. And you wonder why the life becomes a circle. Life, the teacher life, is always pointing you in the direction you must travel. And time and again I have said that your mind should be open and your heart should be clear. And yet your true nature is exactly that, open and clear. You put things in the way, past hurts, injustices, expectations, resistance, and the biggest of them all, desire. So occasionally, along comes something which begins externally to wake up something internally. Could be as simple as a book, an event, something minor or something major. Could be another person. It could be a certain few words that somebody says. There was one man that was enlightened when he went to see the butcher. And he said to the butcher, "Which is the best cut of meat?" And the butcher said, "They are all the best cut of meat." What could be such a simple phrase, yet for that one man, in effect meant the difference between heaven and hell. The event was external, but it lit something internal. When you look at your parents, you see them by their past. You look at your child, and you see them for their future. When you look at yourself, you should see yourself as your present. Those words placed in my mind by another. So spend some time just before you sleep or as you awaken. This is when the mind is the most subtle and willing to be molded very slightly. In these times, just follow your breath to the count of 30 breaths. That is all. And you'll find in time your concentration, your peace, and your ability to connect to beyond the physical will avail itself to you. Be aware by practicing this exercise how your life can change. So simple, not always easy. Now, let us continue with our healing. In a moment, the names, and each, as I have said before, will be held in the heart of the Creator. If you have others that you would like to add, please send an email. And they will be added to the list for the following week. So, Brandon, I believe you have a list for me.
I do. The names are for today: Angelina, George, Irene, Alexandra, Maria, Gregory, Stephanos, Loretta, Michelle, and Francis Caputo, Simon and Eva, Mo and Vicky Hodgson, Betty and Sam Popov, John Mans, Cindy Densmore, Alan Brackett, Paya, Howard, Teresa Neal, Eva Keegan, Alice, Wendy, Ken, Ron, Anna and Vivian Sellers, Nazrin and her brother and mother, Kelsey, Sandra and Mark, Rosa, Kate and Jim, Kevin and Vicky, Jason, all the men, women, and children of Afghanistan, Wendy P., Wendy L., Betty and David Essex, Mike and Maxine Eskins, Grantley, Tracy, Loy, Chris M., Kara C., John S., Lindsay S., Katie, Lucy, Carolyn M., and finally, the medium himself wishes for healing. Thank you.
I thought I'd have a turn today and come and say hello to you. It's kind of nice to be here for once in a while. It's been a little bit of a while, isn't it? Bit of a while since I popped in, said hello, how you doing, sang you a song, whatever needs to happen. And it's kind of out of a bit of practice, you know. The old mind needs to understand itself. You know, the two minds get together, link up, become buddies. And then when you get everything working right, time's over. It happens so quickly. Anyway, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hello. It's nice to be here. And I thought we got some questions, ain't we? And I thought I'd answer them my way today. I hope you don't mind. It ain't going to be too posh speaking. Very down to earth and get you all kind of understanding things at the very lowest level rather than the posh, convoluted stuff. You got a question for us, Brandon?
It's always lovely to have you with us, Charlie.
God bless you.
This is a two-part question from Angelina.
Well, you better do a one part first, have you? Because the old intellect ain't that sharp. All right.
Let's
no
start with the first
long
one.
words. No long words, if you can. I'm only joking. You know what I'm like.
All right, you got it. First part. May I have an insight to parallel universes, and if it may be correct from my understanding that on esoteric level, we all address this in the physical.
Parallel universes. I like to start with an easy question. Oh dear, I've had to read a few books about this, if you know what I mean. Get a bit of advice. Now, you need to understand parallel universes from a very simple way, and then you can comprehend it a little bit. And it really comes down to the very smallest levels, which represent the very biggest levels within existence. So the very smallest levels is the actual quantum level, if you want, which is the field of potential. Of course, it's rather complex. Well, it's complex to me. So if it's complex to me, I think it'll be complex to you and all, unless you are a quantum physics type of person and study it. Anyway, so here you have the potential for things to happen. This is not a certainty for things to happen. It is the potential to happen. So you can start something in motion, and then it ain't always certain that it will follow the correct path. So again, you can find different experiments and different things which have been done over time, which says if I put a ball on top of a hill, it should roll down the hill up to a certain position on the other hill, then roll back again. Now that would be the way it would work. Except you would find at this level, if you put 100 balls on the hill, some of them would actually go a different way. They would go over the next hill. Some wouldn't make it as far as the others. Some would go on a different pathway. And I'm talking all the balls and all the hills are exactly the same. So here there is potential. And every potential is, if you would like, a different existence. So every potential really is true. So this is what it said, where you should be careful what you think. Your thoughts become energy and your thoughts follow another pathway. So here then you would think, well, should I turn left or should I turn right? Well, the parallel universe means that you actually do both of them. You go left, you go right. The life you are living today is the life because you're aware of just one choice all the time that you make. The other choices are available if you change your awareness. So as a consequence, this is why at times it can be very difficult to predict the future. Certain events are written, but other events means you may go in different directions at different times. So parallel universes actually then start to form, where other existences take place at the same time. So you may think, what would life have been like if I'd have met another person? Well, assuming you had the option at one stage, well, that actually was a possibility and carried on. So here you see the universal mind, and I'm talking the universal, not the individual. The universal mind is what stores all of this, every universe. And this is the size of what you are dealing with. The size of every potential, every possibility. Some days you're wearing blue and in other places you're wearing red. Some days you're happy and some days you may not be. All within this potential existence. So you see, this is why also when you think about it all kind of serious like and spend a little bit of quiet and get your old head working a little bit until it explodes by the sheer immensity of everything. Where was I going? Oh yeah. So this means that everything then is in existence. Remember the phrase, nothing is ever wasted? What you think occurs. And it occurs in different ways, in different positions, in different thoughts, according to different consciousness. So you see, and if you listen to this carefully again, you can see that everything happens at the same time. All the life forms happen exactly the same time. Anyway, that's even more complex. Well, you don't need to know anything about that. Not just yet. So the small really is a reflection of the big. The small, the quantum level, is a reflection of the universe. The individual is a reflection of the creation, the creator. Really, it ain't really a satisfactory answer, I don't think. Even though this may explain it to some degree, it ain't a satisfactory answer because I can't tell you, go look here. But I can tell you to say, think of the quantum theory, the way strange things can occur. And Einstein said, spooky things happening at a distance. Well, this is what he means when he's talking quantum level. Everything happens with potential. You see, isn't it true that if you are just still and just aware and just look, without expectations, without desire, without trying to avoid anything, you just look, you have every potential, don't you? See, when you take the levels the opposite direction from all of those universes, down, 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 right to the pinpoint, it comes to a level of potential. And then when you get to that pinpoint and you find potential, then all of a sudden there's expansion. Can you see what I mean? It's like an hourglass, broad to narrow, and then you fall through the gap, and then there is expansion. Anyway, maybe that's a bit above my pay grade as well. But anyway, I hope you know what I mean. So, Angelina, I hope it answers your question. I think I've probably given you another 500 questions. And anyway, let's carry on. There was a part two, was there?
Yeah, that was excellent. You were not rusty at all. Before we go on to the second one, I actually had a thought regarding your response. Are there multiple Akashic records for each parallel universe, or just one main master book of God's remembrance?
It is all one. Memory is stored in one place. Knowledge is stored in one place, which is no place. no place as such. The Akashic records, if you like, the area of knowledge, the book of God's remembrance, whatever you want to call it, is not like a little corner. And then there's over there, look, there it is, over there in the corner. Let's go and have a look. It ain't like that. It ain't like you walk into the shop and you go to the back left-hand corner and there's the bread. Next to the bread, oh, there's the Akashic records. There it is. Look at it. Lovely. It ain't like that. It's everywhere. Yeah, it is purely like a vibration, a rechange. You see, knowledge is within consciousness. Love is within consciousness. All actions come from that, and consciousness is purely an expression of the big bloke, if you know what I mean. He ain't a bloke, but you know what I'm saying. So it ain't a location, it's a vibration. You see what I mean? So it ain't there's one book for one universe, another book for another universe, or one book for Tom and one book for Mary. But it's just a way of thinking about it at your level. Chapter 1, Brandon. Chapter 2, Terry. No, it don't work like that. It's kind of just a remember. Nothing's forgotten. But you've got to know how to access it. And you actually do access it, but you only access a little dog end page, if you know what I mean. You don't access the whole book. It's like having 100 computers and you just look at the letter A, if you know what I mean, in terms of storage and that type of thing. Got me? I hope you have. I hope it's all crystal clear now. You know, you've figured out the secrets of the universe based on the philosophy of Charlie. I would doubt it very much, but you never know. All right, let's carry on. What else you got for me?
Okay, here's Angelina's second question. Would it be correct that the initiate faced this challenge in the Great Pyramid to enter access parallel universes?
Well, you see, you could say pyramids are an exact model is the word, of what I described. Do you remember the hourglass picture I tried to paint for you? The 2 points coming together? Yeah, do you get me? So we have one which is broad, comes down to narrow, and then one which is narrow and goes out to broad, each pyramid touching at its very center point. And if you look at many religious paintings, you will see they meet at a point and then light expands from it. Some say, of course, it's a theory of the Big Bang thing, you know, the Big Bang, whatever happened, and where there was nothing, then there was everything, if you know what I mean. And then you could say when it's exactly the same the other way with black holes and things, where everything very broad comes down to a very fine little spot, you know. Very tricky little spot that is, let me tell you, but a little spot somewhere. You see, this where that two bits meet is the expression of light. So light comes from that very point. It's like, let's say, when two atoms collide, isn't it? All that stuff. Or when they expand, when they split. So from the one comes the many. So in essence, yes, the initiate, the person who wants to figure it all out, can come to that point of potential. That point of potential then is when everything's ready for you. Shall I become a doctor? Shall I become a train driver? Shall I be male or female, rich or poor, young or old, whatever it is? And then you have all that potential and then you manifest it. So think of your concentration. Sometimes it's very broad and you can listen to the whole room, and other times you can hear the scratch of your pen on a piece of paper. If you place your attention at that level, that scratch of the pen on the piece of paper becomes louder And eventually that's all you hear. Try it. You'll be amazed how noisy pens are on paper. Mind you, probably don't write quite so much later. Terry, you can have a good listen, love. I know you're a scribe. Listen to your pen on the paper. See if you can hear it. Anyway, just have a go. And see, this is the point I'm making, is that when you get everything broad, it comes down to the pen on the paper. It's very narrow. And then it feels like the whole universe is on the edge of the pen. To see the universe in a grain of sand. Rudyard Kipling, I think it was. Anyway, that bloke, whoever he was, he said it. So here, all I'm saying is come down to the potential. The initiate, then, if you like, want to use the pyramid as an example, is taking things down to the pinpoint, taking things down to the consciousness, and then you fall through it. You fall through it. This is why often people use mantras. You know, mantras, them words and phrases. People use them as a point of concentration. You can do it just the same by concentrating on the end of your nose. Anyway, I'll better leave that there, dangerous territory. Anyway, you could do that, and then all of a sudden there's nothing other than that very point. With your breath, everything disappears. There is just breathing. And then you got potential. So this is why, if you've heard him say it before, the other bloke, Mr. Slow Talking, him, he says, concentrate, doesn't he? Concentrate, get your concentration sorted out, get it all shipshape. And then the concentration, you slip through the veil. You become the creator. That's why you have to go back to the silence for miracles. Miracles don't happen in the noise; they're expressed into the noise, into the world. But you got to do it from the point of concentration, the pinpoint. Get yourself right on the edge of that pin. If you've ever concentrated on something so much, and really, really did it, your mind's kind of still. It's concentrating on the tip of a pin or the end of a pen. Your body disappears. And you disappear. There is just that. So that's your potential bit. That's what's symbolized by the two pyramids, or the initiate going into the pyramid. It is going into the point of focus. Whether this is for Angelina or for somebody else, this is a hint for you to say, build your concentration. The answer lies there. That's why you don't have to go searching the world. You don't have to climb to the top of a pyramid or a mountain or learn to ride an elephant or something. You just got to focus. How can you be then anything other than consciousness when there's focus? See what I mean? See what I mean? She ain't here to ask a question. Ask my questions back. So I better leave it just there. You know what I'm like. I could talk for a week, but we ain't got that much time. You got another one for me, and I'll have a stab, see if I can wreck that question as well. Let's have a go.
Yes, I do, sir. Charlie, when you're speaking and thoughts are impressed upon you by another communicator, being that you're in spirit, how is this different from when our minds are impressed upon a communicator here in the physical? Meaning, are the mechanics any different from that communicator? I'm sure vibrations at some point plays a role in all this. This is my question to you.
Well, it's just pliability, isn't it? You know, you believe in the physical world, and this ain't just you, mate. This is all the others. You believe in this world that the mind's defined boundary. It's a box. It's personal. You know, it's within the ears. You know what I'm saying? And as a consequence, it's very hard to get through to it, but it can happen. It's only when the mind opens up. And when it opens up here, remember, clear mind opens up to possibility. Then, of course, you can start to get things from other places. Your body's giving me a bit of trouble. Anyway, you can get things from other places, like you know things about somebody else, etc. You see, from our side, the mind's a lot more pliable because we've dropped away some of the stuff that you carry or you believe you carry. You see, when people start to express their nature by relaxing their mind and finding themselves, all of a sudden, many of them get this gift of knowing. You know, you call it psychic, if you like, or other things, mediumship. You see, all they've done really is breaking down some of the barriers to the mind. I mean, it's a bit more than that, of course, you know, but it's like, I'm going to remove the box my mind's in and let's see what else there is. Of course, you don't actually say that, and there ain't no box, but the box I'm talking about is beliefs. If you believe you can't do this, then you can't. If you believe you can do this, well, with a little help, a couple of nudges and a kick up the bum, then maybe you can. See, it's people's thoughts process. How many people have been defeated by the thought, I can't? Do you know what I'm saying? I should imagine there's everybody at some stage. A lot of people right now. You know, there's those people who are so focused and fixed within their mind, these, let's call them intellectuals, but that ain't fair really, but they can't use it any other way. You see, did he not say, Mr. Slow Talking, him, did he not say to you that your mind's got to be clear, the path of knowledge, eventually you have to let go of the knowledge? What he means is the knowledge that you have to access the greater knowledge, the knowledge that's kind of all around you, the Akashic bit. You know what I mean? If all you knew was to add up all the different numbers, you were a number person, well, then words don't exist, if you know what I mean. Bad example, but you know what I'm trying to say. By being a little bit more open, then you can perceive a little bit more. So your mind needs to be open. I'm sure you've heard the story of the professor and the Tibetan monk and the cup of tea that he keeps pouring and it overflows. That story, no need to repeat it. But anyway, that story, what was the same thing, innit? You know, you got to let the old grey matter, if you know what I mean, be more flexible. And you do it by not having restrictions, by having possibilities. Stop thinking you can't. There we are. That can't means you define yourself, doesn't it? In this example, anyway. And then maybe you can. So what's the difference? Fear, innit? Fear, control, beliefs, you know? Fear, control, beliefs. Let's say it's just them. All right, there's probably 100 of them, but let's say it's just them. Fear, control, belief means you close your mind off and you go, oh, I can't do it. When you go to some of them psychological people, the first thing they'd say is ask you, are you sure? What would happen? All this type of stuff, don't they? They're trying to break down your restrictive behaviour, your restrictive belief. And isn't that then exactly the same? Back to potential. And then you possibly can. So anyway, look, I've used 1,000 words probably to say a very short answer, and that is your mind is restricted, our mind is more open. But the process works the same if it's allowed to. There we go, nice defined answer. What do you reckon? Did I nail it or did I confuse you?
You nailed it, Charlie.
I knew I would. I knew I would. You just got to give me a chance. That's all.
Charlie
Give
to
me
the
a chance.
rescue.
Charlie to the rescue. That's it. All right. All
Did you
right.
prepare a song for us?
No, I did not.
I
But
thought you were going to sing to us.
well, I can. Do you want me to sing to you? I can sing for. Have you ever seen? Hang on a minute. Changing topics. You ever seen them dogs which used to exist that have like that bottle of rum around their neck? You know what I mean? They go to rescue people buried in the snow. Them type of dogs. I think it was all fictional in the end. But anyway, well, it's kind of like me. I'll turn up with a glass of rum right at the right moment. It's important in it, eh? Imagine all the people living life in peace. Woo, 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 woo. There you go. Look, how's that? It's just a little starter. I've got all the other words. Did I tell you that I wrote my own words for that? Didn't go very well, but anyway, had more meaning. Look, let's get ahead and see if we can find another question.
Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, we have a question from Lena. Lena.
Hi, Charlie.
Bless you, love. How you feeling?
Oh, good. Thank you.
That's
I've missed you.
I've missed you too, darling. How's your shoulder?
It's getting better. Thank you.
Is it? That's good.
You guys have helped a lot.
Always trust a good spook to come and do the job. Anyway, let's carry on before I get carried away. What did you want to know, love?
Yes. Okay. My question is in regards to control. So when you come in, you're like taking control of the medium's mind and speaking through his mouth and using his vocal cords. But there's a level, I know there's a level of difficulty to that for you guys. But what about moving the rest of the body, like moving the hands and the arms and the feet? And I am going somewhere with this. There's a purpose for the question. But how much more difficult is it for you to control the rest of the body besides just the vocal cords in the mouth?
Well, it just takes a bit of practice. And it also takes intention. And obviously the need must be there. There's no point doing it just for the sake of it. You see, what really happens is when the mind is so held, you'll find quite often that those people who practice it sufficiently feel like they're actually set in stone or concrete or something where they just can't move, you know? It actually becomes very restrictive. So you'll find right at the moment, the medium couldn't lift his hand even if he was here to do it. So the movement of hands and feet and whatever else is very possible. We just have to start the process. Takes a little bit of getting used to. We got to think about it. We've got to say, all right hand lift up, point finger in air, all that type of stuff. And then we got to get used to it. So it's like a bit of a training. Do you know what I mean? A bit training, that's all. And moving the medium's hand and his feet and his legs and all that type of stuff. It's not impossible. It's just a little bit of focus, that's all. And you can do it to such an amazing level at times. You know, sometimes people's medical issues are within their mind, ain't it? You know what I mean? Some people get within their mind they cannot do for whatever reason. And of course, some of it then becomes a biological condition. So the mind first, biologically second. So it may not always be real, if you know what I mean. There may actually not be anything there. There's just the belief of something there. So as a consequence, we rock up, we jump in the old mind and we say, all right, let's move that arm. There ain't no belief of that anymore. And possibly we can do things that perhaps the medium couldn't do. Of course, we're not talking about swiveling his head round 365 or 60 in it, 300, whatever it is, all them degrees. We ain't talking about that because that has biological restrictions. But there are times where we can do that, times where there can be separation, times when perhaps we could show you 2 left hands. You think, how's all that happen? Well, these have to be under certain conditions and time. And we can do it 2 ways. First of all, there is obviously altering the viewer, their perception. So let's say I lifted his hand and he's got 3 hands, you know what I mean? Or 27 fingers or something on one hand, whatever I'm trying to say. Well, we could either create the 27 fingers, or we could alter your mind as a viewer and say, have a look, there's 27. So we alter one way or another. Of course, this is all perception. So it's all perception about what you see. It ain't always the way it is. So this can be the way, of course, clairvoyance can work. In that we can whisper in your mind, say there's a woman over there. And we could give you the impression in your mind of a spirit standing over in the corner. You know what I'm saying? And then you think that there is somebody standing over in the corner. So we can put impressions into the viewer's mind as well as into an actual event. So by whispering in your ear, again, if you were to allow us, of course, not everybody does. Remember them closed-minded people. We can whisper into the ear and make certain events. Of course, I'm not actually whispering in your ear. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to worry about that. Or just place the impression into your mind. I'm just using that phrase. So it sticks in the corner of your mind, and then you might see it. Hey? And this is why those who are open-minded actually see more. If you've got an open mind, then you would see other possibilities, wouldn't you? If you're closed-minded, as I said, you kind of just see the way it was is the way it will be tomorrow. And no possibility of change. If I just waffled a lot, I think I have, haven't I? Anyway, what I mean is all the potential is there for you, love. We can move the medium's hand, feet, legs, and wiggle his nose if we need to. And we could actually just make you think that we've wiggled his nose as well. There you go. Nice, precise, short answer. So you know exactly what you're talking about, I think. I hope. Maybe. Kinda. Anyway, thank you, love. Take care of that shoulder of yours. All right. Is there another one? Have we got time for another one?
Yeah, we do. A quick follow-up one to this specific topic from Michelle. I'm going to add a little bit. She wanted to know if the conditions for those that have had the condition of sleepwalking, if maybe the body's nervous system was already in a state that's easily available for trance walking.
Yes. You see, 2 things here. The first part is, let's assume that we want it to happen for some reason. Well, we could do that. Now, the second part that you're really talking about, though, is when somebody very unconsciously walks and they're still asleep and they're still moving. Well, here, people can actually just let their mind ramble up and go through thoughts and memories of something that has happened before. You'll find sleepwalkers, and again, I'm generalizing, this ain't true every time, but sleepwalkers are following a set path. So, for example, they are used to getting out of bed, walking down through a door, out the corridor, along the corridor to, I don't know, a kitchen or bathroom or something. And you'll find sleepwalkers will follow that path normally. So here, again, memories are triggered and the mind reacts and the body follows. So for some reason, the memory is reacted in the middle of the night, they're open to it, and the body has taken its own course, you believe. And it goes along a set path of something it has done before. And of course, the mind may have quite strong images of things which are yet to be complete or things that have to be done. So let's say you're really keen to get to work. Maybe you have to imagine that bit. But anyway, let's say you're really keen to get to work. And in the middle of the night, you wake up. It's very possible you get up, you make your lunch, jump in your car and disappear, but it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you know what I'm saying? Because these are processed memories, thoughts within the mind. This is the potential I'm talking about. It's kind of connected in a way in terms of all that potential and all that possibility. It's just made manifest. Do you see, can I ask you a question? Let me think about this. Let you think about this a second. Well, if you ever become enlightened or one of these really deep knowers, you know what I mean? That type of person, kind of got the whole thing figured out. When you go to sleep, are you still enlightened? You see, what happens in the sleep state? The whole thing's really quite an interesting topic, isn't it? Maybe you can ask that next week when the other bloke is here, and he'll give you a really long answer. Maybe that's another interesting thing. What happens in sleep for you? Anyway, it's an answer I could take a little bit of a while to do. Did I answer your question sufficiently, or have I rambled on again? I think I've done a bit of both.
No, I think that was great.
Was it?
Yeah, the pattern of the sleepwalking, it's almost kind of analogous to residual energy, where you're not really seeing the spirit. The spirit's not there, just that there's a strong energy that is used to a pattern.
Well, it's energy and it's memory, if you know what I mean. The things follow the channel, if you know what I mean. The energy follows a certain pathway and does a repeated behavior. I can get up, go for a walk. And of course, certain things can trigger. So a few people, of course, get the memory of needing to go to the toilet and they'll just get up and go. Have you ever done that in the middle of the night when you're kind of half asleep and you just find your way, don't you? Except that you just kind of, you don't really know where you are, but you just end up there. Maybe you walk into the door because it's normally open, but apart from that, you just follow the way you've always been. A sleepwalker, let's take this example, getting up, go to the toilet. If they're in a new room, a room they're not normally in, or the memories are not quite perfect, well, can lead to all sorts of little accidents, can't it? You know what I'm saying? Don't need to talk any more about that, that's for sure. But anyway, all these are both memory and energy are in motion without, well, let's call it without too much consciousness attached to the body. That sums it up nicely, I think. So I think I'm done, ain't I? Am I done? I think I'm done.
Yes, yes, Charlie. Thank you so much for coming today. We enjoyed your company.
God bless you. God bless you. It's nice to be here. It's nice to get the old things working again. Dust off the old voice box. Anyway, it's not my voice box, but my memory of a voice box. There we are. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Always walk on the sunny side of the street. Be happy. God bless you. Take care. Ta-ra. So we will now bring the medium back. Until next week, be at peace with yourself. God bless you all. stop this.